This is Sports Drive.
Welcome back into Sports Drive once again. I'm your host, Preston Moore. Apologies, we had a little bit of technical difficulties getting back out of that break, but we are back now, good to go. Joining me live in the studio, News Channel 10's very own, Rylee Robinson. Rylee, excited to have you on the show, walking down the hall to stop by.
It's a long walk.
It's a long walk. It's not really that long. But that being said, let's talk a little bit about what's been going on and something that you're working on right now, as I understand. West Texas A&M had their very first men's golf individual national champion for the first time in school history, the fifth time in Lone Star Conference history. And not only that, his name's Wyatt Province. He's a Randall graduate, which is another thing. And another thing, he had the highest, or not highest, lowest, best score, individual score in the history of the National Division II National Championship. I mean, you were able to kind of cover this and talk about it over the course of the weekend and as it was happening. This is a monumental achievement, and I understand that you're working on a story about Wyatt.
Yes, so I'm actually going out tomorrow to go interview Wyatt, get some shots of him. I'm going to run a feature on Sunday because I think it is really cool, obviously, the local aspect of things. He's from Randall, but how cool is it for someone to be able to say, I won a state championship in high school, and then a year later I won a national championship in college as a freshman. So within a year span, he has 2 golds, high school and college level, as you mentioned, shooting the lowest but best score in all of Division II golf history right there in the national championship. So that was really cool. I thought he shot a 12 under. Whoever was in second place shot a 7 under. Yeah. So it wasn't even close. But I got to actually interview Wyatt a few weeks ago on Sports Drive, and very nice guy. He very humble guy as well. But I remember him saying, you know, I kept asking him kind of how they're preparing for the national championship, how, you know, excited, whatever. He just said, I want to go down there right now. That's all he kept saying. He's like, I want to go to Florida so bad.
It's clear he was ready.
Yeah, he was. Obviously, he was, because he kept saying that. And I was like, what makes you want to go? He's like, well, first of all, I've never been to Florida. And I was like, well, get ready because the humidity is going to wipe you out. But obviously that didn't hinder his play whatsoever.
Not even a little bit.
But I just think it is cool. He had a lot to say just about how much he's grown here at WT. Obviously, his golf game's grown tremendously. He's also in a lot of those tournaments there in the summer. I know he played in the Tournament of Champions last summer to round out the golf season. So he gets to do a lot of those. He told me they were fun. He said maybe they aren't as competitive, obviously, as but he said they're just fun to play in.
Well,
but
I'll tell you, when he shows up to those tournaments this summer.
Like last summer he says he's a state champion, and now he's about to be a national champion.
He's walking in not only as a national champion, but the first to ever come out of WT. And, you know, we've got some great golfers around this area. We're going to talk about one of the most legendary amateur golfers in the history of Texas Panhandle here in just a little bit with our Hall of Fame coverage. But that being said, I would imagine that all of the great golfers who are participating in those tournaments, they're going to see Wyatt roll up and say, oh, this kid.
You know, when I go out there on the weekends from now on this summer, my camera's probably going to be in my, all right, Wyatt. Like, majority of it, I'm going to be like, all right, I need to find, you know, obviously who's in first, second, third, the top 5 or whatever. And I guarantee you Wyatt Province is going to be a lot of my video coming up this summer.
And I mean, whenever you have the accomplishment that he has now, I mean, I can't think of many golfers around this area. Well, actually, you literally cannot. It's impossible to think of any golfers around this area who have done what he's done, because no one's ever done it before out of WT. So really, really cool stuff. We're excited to see that story, Rylee. I also want to talk a little bit while we still have you on, because I know that we may not spend a whole lot of time in the rest of the show talking about it. The Canyon Eagles are back. Not back. They're still in. They're the only team still in now in the regional championship against Stephenville. This game is extremely, extremely exciting for numerous reasons. I mean, I kind of just listed some of the great stuff. They haven't been here since 2003. They haven't been to the state tournament since 2003. Stephenville's made the regional final 4 years in a row. They've only made the state tournament in 1 of those 4 years. They're hoping to make it 2 out of 4 with this upcoming series. And then, of course, what we all know, and he consistently turns it around on his players. I feel like he's almost become known for it at this point this season. But John Doan, legendary baseball coach, is retiring, and his players are just playing their hearts out for him on the field.
I know it is. It's amazing to see. I know on Sports Drive last Friday, I had on 3 of the seniors, Sam Johnson, Reese Davis, and Christian McGuire, and Coach Doan was there too. And I, asked him this is how I actually started my question. I said, I don't know exactly how old you guys are, but I know none of y'all were alive in 2003. So that's exactly how I started it. And I go, but just what does it mean for you guys, to make it back here? And they immediately were like, we're doing it for Coach. I mean, and Coach Doan, like after they got done saying what they were saying, he just expressed how much that meant to him. But obviously, as you mentioned, one of the most humble coaches, one of the most humble people we get to chat with, get to cover here in the Panhandle. So he's obviously not going to take any of that credit whatsoever because his players are playing their hearts out. I know they're doing it for him, but it is definitely showing on the field. I'm really excited for this series just because we know that Canyon both has the bats and the pitching. That obviously, to get to this round, you have to have something of sorts. Yeah. But KJ and I were just actually looking at Stephenville's record, their wins and losses, and everything just in the sports office. And there's only been 6 games this season that Stephenville has allowed more than 2 runs. But Canyon, I mean, their offense is very explosive. We all know that their defense pitching is amazing. They have a deep pitching staff. To win, I know last week they played a 1 game, but the other playoff rounds were 2 or 3, and they haven't lost a single game. They haven't gone to a 3rd game. So to win all those, you have to have deep pitching, especially at this point in the season. So it's just going to be interesting to see that dynamic of obviously great pitching from Stephenville. They have been here before, as you mentioned, 4th consecutive year being in this position compared to Canyon, who is just on a hot streak. And I feel like baseball is 100% a game of momentum.
Canyon didn't even win their district.
No, exactly. Well, actually, Stephenville didn't either. They were the runner-up in district.
I forgot about that. I knew that. You corrected. You brought it back to my mind. That's true, too.
Yeah.
Really interesting stuff with both of these teams, and we're excited to see how it all goes down over the course of the next 2 days out at Texas Tech. We'll be live tomorrow on the news at 6, as well as on Friday if there is a Game 3 from Texas Tech, so we're really excited about that. Rylee, thanks again for coming down the hall, joining Sports Drive, talking a little bit about some stuff you're working on. I know you got a long walk back to the sports office, but once again, thanks for coming on.
Of course.
We'll be right back with more Sports Drive right after this break.